What's up everyone, my name is Zach and welcome to the start of a new reading vlog. So about 2 weeks ago I did a video on my 5-star predictions and I promised you guys that I would circle back around to them and let you guys know if they were actually 5 stars or not, and so that's what I'm gonna do with this vlog. Yeah, I'm very excited for this. I'm a little bit nervous because, again, I have really high hopes for most of these books, all of these books, and so I'm really anxious to find out where this vlog is going to go and how I'm going to feel about these books. That original video will be linked in the description box below, and I'm not going to rehash out that whole video. I'm going to kind of show you guys quickly the books that I plan to read in this vlog, talk a little bit about reading plans, and then send you directly to future me. It is currently June 7th, and I am in the middle of reading Jade War for a book club, so I haven't actually started any of these books yet, but I wanted to go ahead and film the intro and get excited because I believe I know which one I'm going to read first, but I am slightly a mood reader, so we'll see. Speaking of being a mood reader and talk about reading habits and hopes for this vlog, so for the longest time, I've been a very big mood reader, and I'm trying to combat that a little bit. There's nothing wrong with being a mood reader. I always will be. However, I've found that I'm in a place now where I can be a little bit more selective about what I'm reading and kind of plan for my reads, which is really exciting in terms of the channel because I've always had so many big ideas of like creative vlogs to do and all these fun things to do, but then I feel like this pressure hits me and I'm like, oh, I don't want to read those things now, or like, oh, I'm not in the mood. But thankfully, I feel like I'm in a place now where I can do a little bit better job with that, and I'm really excited to see what is to come and what kind of fun vlogs I'm going to get into, and hopefully you guys will enjoy them as well. I'm just going to quickly show you guys the books that are on this list and like one sentence about them. This is My Darkest Prayer by S.A. Cosby. I loved Razorblade Tears. This is a like Southern thriller. It's about a commentary on religion and race, and I believe it's also a mystery of sorts. Yeah, mystery thriller. Next is Part of Your World. This series, the second book is right here, which just came out. These are very popular, and so I don't believe you have to read one in order to read the other because you don't have to do that for most romance series. However, people really love this one as well, and so I wanted to give this one a try. It's a age gap, I believe, and also they're like opposites attract. Like she is a doctor in the city and he works on a farm, so I'm excited to see what the hype's about. This is the one that I've actually kind of changed my mind on since I made the video. But I decided to keep it in here as a little experiment, but that is the Fiancé Farce, I guess. This is a sapphic romance novel about a girl who owns a bookstore and she falls in love accidentally, I believe, with the cover model of a romance book. So, I don't know. We'll see. I'm not really sure why I've changed my mind on this one. Maybe it's just the mood that I'm in right now. I don't know. Hopefully this is a pleasant surprise. I mean, because something about it does scream 5-star to me. Sapphic, bookstore, a book about books. But I don't know, something's feeling a little off now. I don't know what it is. It's probably a me problem. But we'll find out in this vlog and see where things go with that. The next one I have is In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. This is a... I forget. It's a cross between like Robin Hood. No, not Robin Hood. Two really popular things is where he got the inspiration from. I don't know. I hadn't seen the original whatever the cross-up was for this anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter, but this is a journey sort of story about robots and their relationship with humans and that sort of thing. Between, like, I think it's also a commentary on, like, morally gray characters, and I loved TJ Klune's other book, not House on the Australian Sea. I haven't read that one yet. Under the Whispering Door. I really, really liked that, and so I'm excited to see where this goes, and also I want to read House on the Cerulean Sea eventually, so yeah, I'm excited for this one. This is the book I've probably hyped up the most in my head. Well, these next three are all very hyped. The Book That Wouldn't Burn, this is a story about libraries, and it seems like it's kind of like Strange the Dreamer a little bit. I've never read anything by Mark Lawrence, but this is a big book. I don't know. It just, I guess a book about books, it being written in a library seems very magical and fantastical. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just really excited and we'll see where that goes. This is probably the one I think I'm going to read first. Divine Rivals. I think it's Fairy Loot just did an edition of this. It's absolutely beautiful and I really want it, but it's like $100 and I'm not spending that on it. This is the UK cover though. I did buy this from Book Depository before book depository shut down. This is a YA fantasy novel. It has gods and war and letters being written back and forth between the two main characters. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems really fun and maybe not as in-depth fantasy as the book that wouldn't burn, the book that I just showed you guys. So I think I'll start with this one is my suspicion, but you guys will find out on the next clip. Then last but not least, The Fourth Wing. I don't think I really need to say much about this book. It's literally everywhere. Nothing can keep it in stock. It's all everybody's talking about. I also recently bought one of her earlier romance novels, and so I kind of want to try out other things that she's... Oh my god, the stress. No, it's fine. I kind of want to try out other things that she's written as well, but yeah, I added this to the video because I don't think I really need to explain that. So, yes. You guys, this is the intro. I'm very excited to do this video. I'll leave it to future me to let you guys know what the ratings of these books were. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get something out of it. Please let me know in the comments if this style video is something that you enjoy. I hope to have fun with it. I know it's going to take me a long time. That's why I commented on the date being June 7th, I believe. So we'll see where this ends up and how long it takes. But nonetheless, I'm very excited. I'm also going to be starting other video projects because I expect that most of these will take a little bit of time. So you can look forward to those and other things on the channel. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these, what you thought about them, and other things. I'd love to hear from you guys. All right, I'll see you in the next clip. Bye. Hi friends, I'm here with my very first update for this video. Very exciting news. I started and finished the first book that I wanted to do for this video, and I have lots to say. Alright, so the book I decided to start with for my 5-star prediction video was Divine Rivals. Let me first give you guys a brief overview of what the book is about and what you could expect going into it, and then I'll tell you my thoughts, feelings, etc. This whole video will be spoiler free. I won't be going into any spoilers for any of these books. So in this story, this is the lovely UK edition, if I didn't mention that in the intro to this video, but I love when characters are on the front of books, so I always try to get those. So, and it's going to help in my presentation of what the story is about. This is Iris, and this is Roman. They live in a world where there were gods that overruled everything, and then they were overtaken by humans and basically went underground and were no longer effective. However, two gods have now sort of come out of their slumber and are at war with one another. And so Iris's brother has left to go fight in the war. When he leaves, things greatly change for Iris. Iris's mom falls into addiction and is really struggling day to day. Iris is working for the Gazette, so she's a journalist, and she is trying to win a competition in order to get columnist, which is basically gives her a full-time position at the Gazette where she could write and have a steady job to hopefully help keep her mom afloat while her brother is off at war. Now we have Roman. He is the son of a very rich man. His grandfather invented the railroad system, and so his family is very rich. Iris's family is very poor. He is working at the Gazette and is also in line for this promotion, and so they are competing together for this promotion at the Gazette. What's interesting is this world is very magical and enchanted, and so different things have different magical abilities. Roman's house is magical. That was a very cool aspect that I wasn't expecting. Again, I'm going to continue to give you guys a little bit of an overview of the story, but nothing I'm saying isn't in the description of the book, so no spoilers. So what happens is they're in a competition together at the Gazette. One night, they both have typewriters, because this takes place in I don't know, I think it says 18 something. So there are typewriters. Were there typewriters at 18 something? I don't know, more history to be discovered. But they have typewriters because they're journalists. And one night, Iris is at home and she is typing up a letter, and then she discovers a letter in her wardrobe. So wait, no, that's not how it happens. How does it happen at first? So she is typing up a letter and puts it under her closet. Yeah, puts it under her wardrobe and then walks away. and comes back. She's writing a letter to her brother, she thinks, and she's hoping that it's going to reach him. And she doesn't think it actually will. But she's like, I just need to get some of these thoughts and feelings off my chest. I really miss my brother. So she puts it under the wardrobe and then is like, I'm just gonna peek and see if it went anywhere, and it's gone, right? And then moments later, she gets a letter back. So the person's like, I'm sorry, but this is not your brother. Comes to find out it's Roman who's writing her magical letters back. Not a spoiler, is on the premise. It says, but when Iris's letter to her brother fall into the wrong hands, those of the handsome but cold Roman Kit, her rival with the paper, an unlikely magical connection forms. And then the next part of the synopsis is they end up going off to war. I don't want to say anything else, but this was a breathtaking, magical story. I thought going into it was going to be mostly about the competition between Roman and Iris, but it's not. The first 40%, 40% is about their life as journalists and the competition. And there's a lot more to their lives and their stories that I will hold off on to not spoil anything. But the rest is taking place at war. You meet many other characters. You learn about their backstories and what makes them tick. And there are good side characters in the story. Really, really good side characters. I gave this an overwhelming 5 stars. This might end up being my favorite book of the year, and I read Mistborn this year. Now, Casey asked me, how can this be your favorite book of the year when you read Mistborn? My answer to that is they can't be compared. Okay, so outside of Brandon Sanderson, I think this very well could end up being my favorite book of the year. Overwhelming 5 stars. There are so many good quotes. There's witty banter. There are comical scenes in the midst of something so tragic and horrific as this war. And a lot about this book spoke to me on a personal level. For instance, her mom's addiction. That's something that I experienced growing up. And the way that this was written just hit me so hard to the core. I loved and grieved with the character. And also, there's just so many wonderful things. It talks about how there's a lot of commentary about how we as humans have to be vulnerable and how hard it is to be vulnerable as a human. And it also talks a lot about what war does to people and how gruesome and violent and how useless at times war is. I don't know. I hope that you will read this book. Even if you don't like YA, I think that you could like this. It was written so well. The magical letters also were that's just a, I guess, attribute of books that I love is either text messages or letters or other forms of communication, because I think when we write letters to people or text messages, there is a wall that is let down, for better or for worse. We feel more emboldened to say more things, and that added to a lot of really good scenes and connection between these characters. But it also talks about how not everything can be said not face-to-face, and the power of face-to-face communication. I love this book. I hope you'll read it. Rebecca Ross has written other books. The Enchanted River series, I think it's called. I put my cover on wrong. I put my cover on upside down. Okay, I need to fix that. A River Enchanted and a Fire Endless. It's called The Elements of Cadence duology. That's another popular book duology by her. So this book, I'm fixing this cover while I talk to you guys, because it will drive me nuts. This book there's going to be a second one. I don't know if it's, you get a little book dust jacket, ASMR behind you. I don't know if this is going to be a duology or if it's going to be a full-on series, but I do know that another one has been announced. I've seen the US cover, which matches the other US cover, but the UK cover has not been announced yet, and I'm desperately waiting to see what it's going to look like. I hope it's different. I hope it matches the first one, this one. But yeah. So I absolutely loved this. I hope that you will take what I've said and want to read it. I feel a little nervous that the first book was so good, because I'm like, I don't know how the others are going to be if I'm starting out with maybe my favorite book of the year so far. So we'll see. I don't know which one I'm going to pick up next, but I am going to continue on to this series. Today, I'm actually working on another vlog. So yeah, we'll see. I hope you guys will read this, and I'll see you guys at the next check-in with the next book. Bye. Alright, so it's been a minute since I updated this vlog. It's probably been like a week, maybe 5 days-ish, since I finished Divine Rivals. Maybe that was last week. I don't know. What is time? And so I'm ready to start on the next book, which I thought I was going to be doing right after that, but I actually got really far into my romance reading vlog, and so I've kind of taken a short break. I'm going to be continuing on that tomorrow too, but hopefully I'm going to be simultaneously reading these now, which was the plan all along. And yeah, anyway, so the next book up for this that I'm going to be reading is My Darkest Prayer, which I think I mentioned to you guys in the last clip, but it's been a few days. So anyways, I've already kind of told you guys a little bit about what this is about, but just as a reminder, it says, whether it's working at his cousin's funeral home or tossing around the local riffraff at his favorite bar, Nathan Waymaker is a man who knows how to handle the bodies. A former Marine and sheriff's deputy, Nathan has built a reputation in a small southern town as a man who can help when no one else can. When a beloved local minister is found dead, his partners ask Nathan to investigate, but things get complicated and Nathan must use all his varied skills to navigate the murky waters of small town corruption, even as dark secrets of his own threaten to come to the surface. So I really love S.A. Cosby's writing. And he has another book out this year actually called All the Sinners Bleed. And I was reading kind of what people were saying about it. And a journalist wrote about S.A. Cosby and his writing and his newest book and said he kind of toes the line between horror and thriller. And I would kind of agree with that, given how Razorblade Tears was. And I loved Razorblade Tears. So I'm going to be starting this right after I finish this update. But I actually went and grabbed Razorblade Tears because I thought it might be fun to kind of look back through. I actually annotated this. It's probably too bright for you guys to see the orange tabs that are on here, but this was a Patreon pick that we did last year, and I think everybody loved this book. It's really, really good. If you haven't read Razorblade Tears, I recommend it. I guess the warning and caution is that it is very graphic, very gory, and very violent, but the story at its heart is so, so good, so important, and I just think it's amazing that S.A. Cosby was able to combine both such a graphic and violent story with such a beautiful outcome. There's a lot of lessons learned in Razorblade Tears. I highly recommend it, but I thought it would be fun to go back and look through some of my tabs at some of the quotes that I put in here. So one that I found was this the numbness people talked about, that crippling feeling that took over your body when you were finally pushed beyond your limits? I remember S.A. Cosby's writing being very visceral and very hard-hitting. So that whole page is underlined. I'm not reading that whole page. Oh my gosh. So Razorblade Tears is about homophobia in the South. And there's a comment from one of the characters that says, "You think that girl is all the way gay?" from Buddy Lee. You should really read this book because I think S.A. Cosby, he lives in the same state as me. He lives in Virginia and in the South. And so he kind of nails the ignorance that a lot of Southerners have about LGBTQ things. And I think because he lives here, he does a really good job of talking about those nuances. And I'm expecting it to be the same in My Darkest Prayer, but with religion and small town corruption. But he does it in Razorblade Tears with LGBTQ things. Yeah, so another thing that is talked about in Razorblade Tears is the one of the fathers in this story is black and one of the fathers is white. So S.A. Cosby talks a lot about race, particularly in the South. And Buddy Lee, who's one of the white characters in the book, says to the other guy, "I don't even think he's Chinese. I swear." Oh, wait. So Buddy Lee has made a joke about Chinese people, and the other character says, "I don't think he's Chinese. I swear you white boys got a joke for everybody. But if I said your family tree ain't got no branches, you'd be ready to fight." So yeah, I just think if you haven't read Razorblade Tears, you should. And it started my love of S.A. Cosby, and I'm really excited to read My Darkest Prayers. And I'm going to go get started on that and let you guys know how it is. Hopefully it's a 5-star because that's the whole point of this vlog. But I will definitely let you guys know. See you at the next check-in. All right, what's up, friends? It has been a bit since I've updated this vlog, and on the last 3 days, I went through like a reading spree and finished so many books, so I have lots of updates for you. The first book I want to update you guys on is, also, we can acknowledge I'm extremely sunburnt. I went to a Renaissance festival forgot to wear sunscreen, was outside for like 6 hours, 7 hours, but had an absolute blast. If I can remember, I'll put a picture here on the screen, but who knows if I'll actually remember that or not. But yeah, that I'm very sunburned. I know. Sorry. Okay, so first updates are In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. I finished this book. Unfortunately, it started out really, really good. I was like, there's no way this book isn't going to be a 5-star. It's probably going to be my favorite TJ Klune book. I'm absolutely loving everything about it. And then about halfway through to the last 40% of it, just dipped off strongly for me. And it's odd because that's when the action actually picks up. But I think I just didn't go a direction that I was hoping for. And it almost feels like the writing kind of changed a little bit. Like in the beginning, all of the messaging is about what it means to be human, what it means to be alive, what it means to love other people and care for other people, what it means to be a family. And there was so much witty banter between two characters. I'll get into that in a second. And then I don't know, just like something really changed in the last 40% that I just didn't vibe with. I think I've already told you guys what this book's about, but basically we have the two of my favorite characters are two robots. One is a vacuum and one is Nurse Ratchet, and she's a robot that was designed. So like in this world, humans used to exist in it and they don't really anymore. I mean, one of the main characters is a human, but for the most part, they don't really exist anymore. And Nurse Ratchet robot and this vacuum cleaner who's like extremely anxious, like they had so much good banter, so many witty comments. There is also a lot of commentary on sexuality, in particular like asexuality. There's a lot of good things in this book and they all take place in the first 40% of the book. And then after that, I felt like it just, I don't know. I felt almost like there was too much action and it was too fast paced, which I don't think I've ever said before about a book, but it just felt almost jarring in this book. And I didn't enjoy that. So I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. I do think there's a good chance that if you like TJ Klune, you will like this because it is very resemblant of all of his other books. The writing is his classic style, which I do love, and I will continue to read TJ Klune. I think he writes about some really good life lessons. He has a lot of really good representation. But yeah, this story is so cute. If anything, read the first 40% of it, and then if you don't like where it's going, then stop. But at least the first 40% is worth your time. And I am really glad that I read this book. And I have a lot of that witty banter and those funny scenes in my head. And for that, it was worth it. As far as it being 5 stars, it definitely did not end up being 5 stars. But that's okay. I'm also being a little bit harsher on ratings these days. That was something I wanted to improve on this year. Not to be harsh and an asshole, but I felt like I was giving everything 5 stars. And like, what's the point of me rating books, even for myself, if they're all 5 stars? I mean, I think there's something good in almost all books. But yeah, what I'm looking for in this vlog is like a book that like really wowed me, could be a new favorite, a book I would want to reread. And I might reread that one, but not because it was a 5-star and I enjoyed it, but because like maybe I missed something towards the end that could really stick with me. I don't know. I would recommend it on audio. I had it on audio and the voices are really well done, especially for the other robots and their interactions. I think it makes it even more funny. So that will definitely stick with me, and I'm glad I read it for that reason. The next book I finished is S.A. Cosby's My Darkest Prayer. If you do read this book, make sure you read, I think it's the foreword or the author's note that's at the very beginning. He talks about how this was his first book ever. He actually wrote the first 4 chapters on like napkins and paper towels while in a hotel room and then brought it back home with him where he actually ended up drafting this book. I'm glad that this did not come out as his debut. It's definitely the weakest of his books that I've read, and I plan to read more. I have one more that's on my TBR for July actually, but I ended up giving this about 3.5 stars as well. It also started off really good, and then, I don't know, something just didn't follow through. It didn't go the way I was expecting, and it's not that I get upset when a book doesn't go the way I expect it to, but I think it just feels like it doesn't make sense, or it doesn't jive well with the story. I don't know. But another thing about this is it's incredibly vulgar, and typically that's not a problem for me, and I didn't really like super mind, but it almost felt like some of the sexualized comments like were there just to be the sake of being there instead of being authentic to the character. I mean, it was like every other page there was something about a man feeling sexual desire for a female, like literally almost every other page. As far as the mystery goes, I felt like it was really good. I did like the twist at the end, though I kind of saw it coming. That's not always a bad thing, though, because sometimes when a twist is so far out of left field, you're like, well, I didn't see that coming at all, and therefore, like, just doesn't feel like it makes sense. But this twist definitely made sense. I was not upset that I kind of guessed it. I mean, I didn't guess the whole plot, but if you're going to read this book, I would go into it looking for some really good commentary about race and religion in the South. It does a really good job of doing those things. After reading Razorblade Tears and loving it so much, I can definitely tell that this was his first book. Definitely not my favorite by him, but not sad I read it. I don't believe I'll read this again, so I probably will end up selling it on my Pango. I don't know. I might collect his books, but then also we're going to get into a whole other problem of mine of like not letting go of things that I don't need anymore. And I probably will not read that book again. So I probably will end up listing it to sell. I wouldn't call it a letdown, but I definitely didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to. Yeah, I don't know really what else to say about that, except it was not a 5-star, and that's the whole point of this vlog. The next book I have here is actually not one that I talked about in the intro, except for a little bit. I'm going to be reading Yours Truly, and this is the first one in the series, although most of you know how romance series works. Like, you don't necessarily have to read the first one, though I'm a little ways into Yours Truly, and they've already mentioned the characters from this book, so I'm glad that I did. This is called Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This 5 stars all the way. I listened to this in one night while I was playing Diablo 4, and I absolutely loved this book. If you're looking for something like Betrayed by Emily Henry, where you're really looking for deeper character interactions, what I call like a romance plus, where there's more deeper elements, deeper character elements than there is like smut and actual, I guess, yeah, just smut. I was going to say intimacy, but there's a lot of intimacy in this because there's intimacy in all kinds of ways. And that really shone through in this book. This is an age gap romance, which is interesting because the female is older than the male. And it is just such a sweet story. It's a story about an ER doctor and then a guy who's a wood maker. And there's also like a wealth gap. Like, she comes from a family with very high expectations. He is just a dude trying to do his thing and has a hard time like living up to what he feels she expects. And also, like, for a while, she keeps the relationship secret from people, and that really takes a toll on their relationship. And so it was interesting to see that. It's just a really good book. It's really well written. It has a lot of really funny moments. Like, everything that I love in a romance was in this book. So if you've watched my videos before and you know the kind of romance I like, then I think that'll make a lot more sense. But I did give this 5 stars. It was really, really, really good. And this is coming off of reading 7, I think, romances for that last video I did where I read the first in a romance series. This should have been in that video, but it wasn't. And I knew that I needed to read it before I read Yours Truly, which I've already started. So that brings me to present day right now. Though I finished In the Lives of Puppets yesterday, My Darkest Prayer today, and Part of Your World over the weekend. So these are all really recent finishes. But as far as like today goes and future plans for the rest of this vlog, I am going to be starting Yours Truly. I'm about 5 or 6% into it already, and I'm reading Fourth Wing. I'm about 25 pages into Fourth Wing, and I really like it, and I really like Yours Truly. So I'm thinking those could be the 5 stars left in this video. I still have the book that wouldn't burn. So there are 3 books left in this video. If you're still watching, thank you so much. I know this is probably ended up being a long video, but yeah, at this point I have 3 books left. I anticipate I'll finish them in the next week or week and a half. And now I'm working on a schedule of when videos release. So I do know when this video is anticipating to come out. And that is driving me to when I'm going to read certain books, which is a huge improvement for me that I'm very excited about. So yeah, I am going to be reading Yours Truly and Fourth Wing next. So I will come back and give you guys thoughts on those. I am highly anticipating both 5 stars. Yours Truly for sure, because I already know about how the writing goes. I've already met some of the characters. There's no way that book's not going to be 5 stars. I will be shook. Fourth Wing I'm a little bit more nervous about because there's so much hype around it, but I still am anticipating 4 stars because I really am liking the writing so far. But yeah, I'll see you guys at the next check-in. Bye. Oh, that was weird. You just kind of went forward in time and then you're gonna go back in time. Anyways, good morning. I realized that I did not do a very good job of explaining what In the Lives of Puppets is about in the clip that you're currently watching. So I thought about it last night and I decided I would film this quick little clip to tell you guys more about what In the Lives of Puppets is actually about. So, and it might also kind of help me think through what was off about the book. So In the Lives of Puppets is about a boy named Victor and his dad, Gio. Like I kind of mentioned, there are not humans in this world anymore, really. And one day, Victor, as a small child, got dropped off at Gio's house. Gio is kind of a tinker. He makes robots. He's made the other robots that are in this novel that I've talked about. And yeah, they're just kind of living their life. There's this big scrapyard that they go off and explore sometimes. And when they're off and exploring that scrapyard, which Gio, Victor's dad, doesn't want him out doing very much of, this world is very mysterious and about how robots came to be and what happened to humans. And one day when they're out exploring the scrapyard, they find an android. And it's a very human-like android. And this is not a spoiler, it's on the back of the book, but they bring the android back to their house and they kind of reboot him. And the story really takes off from there. That doesn't happen until about 40 or 50% into the novel. And once they reboot him, Gio gets taken by the androids. And then they have to, as a group, go off and to find the city of electric dreams and to rescue Gio. That's kind of the plot, and that's on the back of the book, but that's kind of the plot of the novel. So I think what happened was that first 40-ish% is mostly like getting to know the characters, and I really thought the jokes were witty and good banter, but I was watching another booktuber yesterday who I love and respect saying that they found the jokes really annoying and repetitive and not very funny. So take that with what you will. I love dad jokes, and maybe there were too many dad jokes. I don't know. I thought the jokes were really funny. This booktuber also said they didn't like the audio and found it really annoying. And so I thought I would report those things back to you guys, that just because I like something, plot twist, you may not like it the way that I did. But isn't that why you're watching this video? To get my opinion on something and weigh it up to if you would like it or not. So I'll giving you my opinion. Take it with it what you will. And also, I very much welcome differing opinions. If you want to let me know in the comments reasons why you didn't like these books, or you liked books that I didn't, that's the whole point of this, is to connect about books. So I welcome opinions of all kinds. But yeah, I realized I did not do a very good job of kind of setting the scene for what the story was about in yesterday's clip. So I'll put you back to yesterday's clip where I talk about the other books briefly. And I hope this was helpful, kind of clearing up what In the Lives of Puppets is actually about. Hi friends, so I have an update for you. I am not currently at home, I am house sitting somewhere. So yeah, this is not my kitchen, I wish it were. But anyways, I finished Yours Truly, which I don't actually have the book here with me because I finished it on audio and I didn't bring it with me, so I don't have it in my hand, but I'll put it on the screen for you. So let me tell you guys a little bit about what this book is about, and also fill you in. I don't know if I already told you guys, but I will. Oh yeah, I did in the last clip. ADHD at its finest. So I did read the first one in the series, which was Part of Your World. I loved that book, gave it 5 stars, and had really, really high hopes for Yours Truly, and I'm happy to report it worked out. I gave this book an overwhelming 5 stars. So Yours Truly is the story of Jacob and Brianna. They work at a hospital as doctors, and Jacob has just transferred from another hospital. And what we find out early on, this is not a spoiler, it's in the back of the book, but he is transferring hospitals because him and his ex-girlfriend have separated, and his ex-girlfriend started dating his brother, and they're actually getting married. His family's put a lot of pressure on him to find another girl and to be happy beyond this, even though they don't really support the other relationship. They want Jacob to be happy, and so he tells them that he has a girlfriend and that he is happy, although he does not. So he meets Brianna in a storage closet because they both go there to hide out at the hospital. And Brianna's also going through a lot. She was a very minimal side character in the first book. So if you don't read that book, it's not a big deal. But she is going through a divorce. That they're already separated and not living together anymore. But she is going through a divorce and kind of looking to get back out on the market, but also not really. So they work at this hospital together. He is known as like Dr. Death because he has killed a lot of patients. But really what's happened is he just had a lot of unfortunate circumstances in the ER, and nobody likes him. He has really bad social anxiety, so he's not very good at social cues and communicating with people. And she kind of gets to the heart of that throughout the story, and I absolutely loved that representation. So they don't meet in a storage closet. They meet because her brother is essentially dying. He's in kidney failure and really needs a kidney transplant. They meet because she is talking to him in the ER, her brother, and they kind of pass each other, Jacob and Brianna do, and she knocks his phone out of his hands and breaks his phone. But when they really start talking is when they both escape to the same storage closet. This book is really, really good. For people who don't love like a ton of smut and really all the things that I love in a romance book is in this book. If you like Ali Hazelwood, if you like Emily Henry, you will definitely like Abby Jimenez. I want to read all of her other books. She has 3 other books in another series, and I actually already own them. I've owned them for some time and never got around to them. But her writing is really, really good. She hits on those deeper meanings, those like deeper connections between people. The characters are very realistic. It's very slow paced, just like the first book, but you feel like you're moving quickly. Like you feel like the book is moving quickly, and it's just, maybe it's because I was enjoying it so much I didn't realize all the time that was passing. But I finished both of these a lot quicker than I expected to, and I absolutely love them. I totally will reread them. Very easy 5 stars, and hopefully I've convinced you to pick up either Part of Your World, yours truly, or one of her other books. Okay, so I have 2 books left for this reading vlog. I have Fourth Wing, which I have right here, the dust jacket's off of. And yes, I'm one of the lucky ones who has this first edition version of it. And I am about 100 pages into it. 130 pages into it. And I love it. It really is living up to the hype. Honestly, I was really skeptical at first because when books are this hyped up, like I've said before, it's been a long time since I've seen a book be this hyped up. It really is living up to it, and I'm really, really loving it. I do continue to predict it's going to be a 5-star. Basically, we're following a girl who, you probably already know what this book's about, but she's being forced to enter into a dragon rider school. Essentially, the school has other parts to it, which she wanted to be a scribe. Well, she likes to study like history and the written word, but because her mom is a really high up general in this world, she is being forced to try to be a dragon rider and basically has to fight to the death to get there. It's a very deadly like competition and environment. I do love the school-ish setting. So we're faced with 2 love interests. One is it's not Xander, it's something similar to Xander. I don't know, I can't remember his name right now, but it's similar to Xander. Who is like this bad guy. He is like definitely an enemies to lover sort of character. And then her childhood best friend, and I can't remember his name right now, he is also there kind of trying to protect her. But the writing is really good. It's very simple fantasy. Like even if you don't read fantasy, you could totally get into this book, but it's not so simple that you don't feel engaged in the world or feel like the world means anything. It's simple and enjoyable, which is a very, very difficult thing to achieve as a fantasy author, I feel. But yeah, I really am loving it. I don't think there's any way it won't be a 5-star. But we'll see at the end. I definitely get what the hype's about. The tension's building really well. There's a lot of really interesting, intimate scenes so far. No like physical intimacy, but just a lot of like, you feel the fire burning and there's a lot of like angst between the characters. I love that. She's building that really slowly and really well while also progressing the story otherwise. It's not like the entire story. So I'm really, really loving it so far. I can't wait to see how things are at the end. The last book I'll have to read in this vlog will be The Book That Wouldn't Burn, which all I know about that, and I'll be starting that on audio soon. All I know about that is it's sort of like Strange the Dreamer. I think I probably talked about it at the beginning of this, probably what's now a very long vlog. But yeah, I'll tell you guys more about that when I get into it because I'm only like 30 minutes into it and I don't fully understand what's happening yet. Probably like 20 minutes into it. This might be one that I might have to switch from audio to physical, but we'll see. Right now I'm focusing on Fourth Wing and I'm probably going to start another vlog. So yeah. All right. I'll see you guys at the next check-in. Bye. Hi friends, I'm here with another update. It is currently Saturday morning. Also, I'm about to film a few other videos and we'll be saying the same thing in all the videos. It's actually really hot here in Virginia now. It hasn't been hot all summer, but I have a fan going because it's absolutely impossible to not. So I'm sorry if you can kind of hear that in the background. I'm pretty confident in editing. I can edit most of the sound out, but just in case you guys can hear some of it, that's why, and I apologize. I wanted to update you guys on the books that I'm doing for this 5-star prediction video. I learned something really valuable through this video, and that's that I put too many books for one video. Like this should have been a part 1 and a part 2. So the books that I'm going to be taking out of this, I'm going to be ending this vlog with Fourth Wing when I get to the end of it. Currently, as it's Saturday, I'm about 200 pages in. It's about 550 pages. So I think around Monday or Tuesday, if I can really smash some things out, then Monday or Tuesday I'll be done with it. It won't be going out until the next Sunday. But anyways, I definitely could make time to read these 2 books I'm going to show you guys. But one of them I'm not in the mood for, and the other one I want to save for something else. So I figured if it's a 5-star prediction, I want the circumstances to be right. I don't want to ruin it because of various other things, whether that's mood or time or anything else. I mean, I definitely think that we always should make time for the books that we want to read because life's a little bit too short to not do that. So it's not that I'm like, oh, I have to do this for this video, so I'm not going to read these books. I'm not in the mood, and there's a different time that I want to read them. So those books are The Fiancé Farce. This one will be in a different video at some point. I'm just not in the mood for this right now. I don't know why. I'm just not. And I've been talking a lot about how I'm doing a lot better with not mood reading as much and reading straight from TBRs. And that still is true. However, there are still times where I don't want to read something, and I'm not going to force myself to do that. Because for the most part, I am doing a lot better with reading other things. So I won't be reading this. And then, unfortunately, the book that I'm most excited for, I just feel like now is not the time. I kind of tried to start it yesterday, and it's just not feeling like a good time. And so I want to wait for a different video or a different time to read this. It feels more like a winter fall book for me. And I don't know, it just doesn't feel like the right time. And that is The Book That Wouldn't Burn. I am as disappointed as you might be that this isn't going to be in this video because I was very excited for it. But again, I just feel like now's not the time. So these books will be featured in a different video at some point. They're still 5-star predictions. They're still books that I want to read. I just don't want to read them right now. If you take away anything from this, you can be not a mood reader and read through TBRs as I've been doing and going to continue to do. And if you are partly a mood reader, you can sprinkle that in. Like, you can do whatever you want when it comes to reading. And that is the beautiful thing, and it's something that I know that content creators, especially on booktube, really struggle to find the balance of. It took me a really long time, but I feel like I'm finally getting that balance in. So yeah, that's really the update. 200 pages in the 4th Wing, is still really loving it. Still very much impressed by the scenes that she creates, the angst between the characters. The world building too is still really good. It's not very complex, but it's enough. So all the same things that I told you guys I updated you last. I'm only about 60 pages further than that time. So I'll update you guys at the very end. Just want to update about how I'm feeling about the rest of the video and those 2 books. And yeah, I'm going to go film a book haul now and the start of 2 other vlogs. So I'm going to go get that done, and then I will be reading these at another time. I am feeling a little bit of separation anxiety because I do really want to read these books, but that means that they should wait. So yeah, thanks guys. See you at the next update. Hey friends, good morning. It is Sunday and I'm outside with the dogs, as you just heard Andy say, and Xander is behind me. He's just hanging out, and the dogs are running around the yard, per the usual. Anyways, I have a 4th Wing update, so I'm on page 300. I have roughly 200 pages left, and I'm determined to finish it today. I am absolutely loving 4th Wing. I was looking at 4th Wing merchandise last night. Like, I'm fully in it. I get it. I see it. I understand all of the hype and the commotion about this book. It's very, very good. I did take some notes on my phone so that I wouldn't forget exactly what I wanted to say to you guys. So something I've noticed is that there's like witty, funny, and helpful banter between the dragons and their riders. So in this world, the dragons and their riders are connected by a link, and they can like hear each other's thoughts, similar to if you've read A Court of Thorns and Roses, then you know what I'm talking about. The series, not the first book. That's not in the first book. Anyway, they can hear each other's thoughts, and that's just a really good way of developing world building and then developing connection and meaning between the characters. And then our main character is like slowly discovering that people aren't who she thought they were, and you may have initially been on one person's side and rooting for one person, but then you like slowly, I'm sorry about the dogs, but hopefully it's not that loud on y'all's end. Hey Bella. There's just drama probably about a cat that they see in the road walking around. It's drama. Anyway, you will like very slowly start to be on another side of things, and I like that because I find in some books it's very abrupt because authors don't know how to do it slowly. Unlike in the first Throne of Glass novel, everything that's like described about this world we actually see happen. So instead of us being like, in this world people die, you actually see a lot of people dying. Or like in this world there is like this certain kind of magic and you just know about it. You actually see those things develop over time. The author has taken a lot of time to write this book and make the things come up and feel very natural, and I think that's really difficult to do, or at least many authors haven't been able to accomplish that recently, and so I really appreciate that about this book. And then the last thing is the pacing is smooth and everything makes sense. I've read a lot of books in the past where I just feel like they are so shallow and the characters do things that don't make sense. This is very clearly well thought out. So I wanted to say all those things because I think that they separate Fourth Wing from most of the fantasy that we've been seeing recently, especially YA fantasy. This is not a YA book. It is classified as like a new adult book, so it's not YA, but I feel like it is definitely entry-level fantasy, and that should be appealing to a lot of people. After I read this book, will look forward to reading reviews of people who didn't like it, because I'm like confused as to how you couldn't like this book, but also I'm sure there's a perspective that I don't know that I want to learn or see from, but not until I'm done with the book, because if I do it too early, then I might start seeing those things and then not enjoy it. So I'm gonna go round up my dogs and finish this book, and then I'll check in with you guys at the very end. Bye. Alright, I'm back with the final update of this vlog for Fourth Wing. So, as I've said in all the other clips that I've updated specifically about Fourth Wing, this book is really good. I gave it 5 stars, easy 5 stars. I'm a little bit surprised that it lived up to the hype as much as it did. I was a little bit wary because recently books that other people think are really good have just not been what I was expecting from them, and this was everything I wanted and more. So I'm pleasantly surprised Fourth Wing lived up to the hype and absolutely loved it. I am selling my copy of this one on Pango because it's worth a lot of money, and I just don't feel like I need to have a really expensive copy of any book, the amount of money this book is going for. So I'm going to sell mine and then buy just a normal edition of it, which I do love special editions, but this book is going for a lot of money, so I do not need to keep it for that amount of money. But that being said, that's separate from the amount that I love this book, because it was a lot. I really enjoyed this book. So I just wanted to kind of wrap up all the books that I read in this vlog before I end it, and maybe kind of put them in order. So I am not reading 2 books that I originally thought I was going to read. However, I added 1 book to this. So I guess this vlog is only 1 book short. I read a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books in it. Too many books, I realized, for a vlog. Vlogs would probably be better between 3 and 4, in my opinion. I mean, you guys can let me know what you think in the comments, but I just think as a creator, it's a little bit easier to do that. I'm putting them in order right now of like favorites. This is really hard to do because some of them are different genres. Okay, this is really tough, but here they are. I would say, okay, so let's do a star count. 5 star, 5 star, 5 star, 5 star, 3.5 star, 3 star, I would say, probably. I think these are all the books that I read in this vlog. I was trying to remember. That's another problem when I was trying to stack them up, but I was like, I don't quite remember. Another really cool thing is this was evenly split between what I read physically and in audio. So I read this physically, yours truly was audio, Part of Your World was audio, I read My Darkest Prayer physically, and In the Lives of Puppets was on audio. So it was half audio and half physical, which I thought was interesting. All in all, I really enjoyed this vlog. I definitely want to do another one like it in the future, because I think when we get really excited about books and think they're going to be 5 stars, sometimes they are. Like, overwhelmingly, this was successful. Even though Part of Your World was kind of not included in it, though I felt like I needed to read it first, it still ended up being a 5 star. So 4 of them were 5 stars, and then the other 2 were 3. So 3-ish. So that's not bad at all. I mean, that's like 70% turned out the way that I thought they were going to. And also, I'm getting to know my own reading taste. Moods fluctuate, though I'm doing a lot better with that. All in all, I really enjoyed this vlog, and I plan to do one in the future. If you've made it this far, I know this vlog was really long. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I have a lot more content like this planned, so definitely let me know if you like it. Subscribing to the channel helps a ton. A like on the video goes a long way. And I want to say thank you to all channel members for supporting my channel every month. You guys mean a lot, and you do a lot for the channel and for me, so thank you so much for that. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
skirt on, dip my body in glitter. Platform sneakers, all the boys want a picture. Two foreign cars, I make rich look richer. Save your breath, baby, I'm not going home with ya.